Before we get into Blue Jays, should I ask you about this? Coach Mace.
What do you got?
Jeremy O'Day re-signing them because they're good at their jobs.
And I would assume that in lockstep with O'Day and Mace, Craig Reynolds probably got himself a contract extension that would extend through 2028, like the head coach and GM. And I tell you what, guys, I was listening to the last part of what you were talking about. I get there are still wounds from a quarter century ago, but those days are done. Okay, they really are. We don't have to go back. All of that. I think in all of this, what's really been so impressive is Corey Mace. Here you have a first-time head coach. He is not 40 years old. He goes into the biggest pressure cooker into the league and has to kind of inherit a situation where there are a lot of question marks. And I agree with you. This bringing Mark Mueller, they worked together in Calgary, having him as the play caller, being the Trevor Harris whisperer. Like, they have kind of gotten a renaissance out of Harris to be doing these things effectively at the age of 40. There's a lot of credit to go around with what's happened this season. But to me, when you think about what the Riders were a couple of years ago when Mace took over and where they are now, there's no shortage of credit. You know, you hear all the time about culture change, this, that. This is Corey Mace's team. And that has been solidified, crystallized, whatever you want to call it, all of those things.
And Maz and I talked about this in hour one. Let's not overlook, I don't know, Jeremy O'Day from talking to him maybe 3 times in my life. He is very, I would say, standoffish, but business. And what he's been able to do in the last month by bringing guys in the defensive backfield and finding a guy he's got that much NFL experience. What was he doing? How did he find him? Like, some of the moves, and they're not all going to work. It's not a video game. Yeah. Right? Yep. Like there's some credit there. Huge.
Yeah, and I Barney, to me, it's not as much the replacements who are American. To me, where you got to hit home runs is in the draft.
Canadian. Yeah.
What did the press release say today? Was it like 17?
17 drafted players are on the roster. That's crazy.
That's where you make your money. Like, that's your bread and butter, right? And there's home runs there. Obviously, Schaefer Baker's been dealing with some injuries, but I remember Kean Schaefer Baker when he was at Guelph, and I thought to myself, there's not much there to work with. Now, granted, this was his rookie and second year in university, but the Riders, in a COVID draft, made that happen. Obviously, Aju is, what he is. But as much as you want to talk about all the kind of replacements, to me, this league remains Canadian, and it remains about what do you have at quarterback? And that question is still going to remain in Saskatchewan because, how much longer is Trevor Harris going to play and at what level? But to me, it's the Canadians where O'Day has really set his mark there.
I think one of the reasons, and Mace would probably agree, that J.O. set him up in a good spot in the situation he came in, because even when Craig Dickinson was here, they were still building and finding talent. Roland Milligan was a Rider before Corey Mace showed up. There was a lot of these guys. Look at A.J. Allen, drafted in 2020, and it's 2025. He had 11 tackles on Friday. He had a sack. He had an interception. Like, those kinds of guys coming through the pipeline, no matter who was coaching, it was always building, and then obviously we're seeing it pay off now, which to me, and Arash, I don't know, I would have to think if you have 17 drafted players on your roster, that has to be near the top of the CFL as far as drafts go, because look at how many busts there are in the first, second, and third round, guys that play a couple games or never play.
Yeah, because they're going to go on to get a job that's going to pay them more in a trade or, in business. Why are you going to continue to do this? It's a fair question. Here's the other thing that I find interesting about the Mace hire when you think back on it. Look at the construct of backgrounds of head coaches in the league right now. Montreal, Toronto, Hamilton, Calgary, BC are all offensive-minded coaches, where they have all played quarterback at some point in their lives and their careers. All of them had at least a cup of coffee in the CFL. I want to give Scott Milanovic that. But everybody else has been an established quarterback. So that's 5 of your franchises. The other 3, Edmonton, Ottawa, who am I missing here? Winnipeg, O'Shea, Killam, Dice, all have basically come up as special teams coaches. So there is one defensive-minded head coach in the Canadian Football League, and that's Corey Mace. And that's, to me, I think that hasn't really been talked about, and it should not be understated that you went off the board. You didn't go get somebody who specializes in the kicking game. You didn't go get yourself a quarterback, even though that's what everybody else is doing. You said, okay, I have myself a play caller. Mueller's going to do that for me, but I'm going to change this building with a defensive mindset. And it's the only team in the league that has done that for quite a while.
Okay, let's move on from that. We got a lot of audio to get to later from O'Day, from Mace, and then now a little bit from Reynolds. Let's talk about the Blue Jays, because the last time we talked, I was almost going to buy some sort of clothing. I was close, and now what the heck happened to the Blue Jays? Like
Seattle happened to the Blue Jays.
They got worked over, and their offense where did it go? What's the deal, Arash?
Yeah, I mean, their bat just went away for a couple of through a couple of factors. I mean, the fact that they didn't have a base hit after the second inning of game 1 and didn't have a base hit after the third inning of game 2 tells you all you need to know. Vladimir Guerrero, who had 9 hits against the Yankees, 3 of them for home runs, is 0 for 7 in this series. And look, everything they touched turned to gold in that divisional series against the Yankees. All their moves paid off and the rest. Guys, they're not this bad, but a lot of this is inevitable because of the Mariners' pitching. Yes, the Blue Jays have not stepped up. Yes, the Blue Jays have not delivered. But it's not one of those scenarios where they left runners stranded, etc. They haven't been able to generate anything, and this is what Seattle can do to teams, and this is what the Mariners have continued to do to teams, especially in the second half of the season.
Now, Arash, explain the Seattle Mariners, because a lot of people, if they don't know, they are not the New York Yankees. They are not stocked with superstars that you would see in TV commercials or instantly recognized. They are just a working man's baseball team. You mentioned the pitching, but then you look at the guys in the outfield and you look at them and be like, yeah, but then you got Big Dumper. Everybody knows Big Dumper now. But but who is Seattle? Well, to the uneducated, who are the Seattle Mariners? Because we don't see them.
Yeah, it's honestly a lot of what you've seen the first 2 games. So what has that been? Really strong starting pitching. And they haven't even gone with their ace yet. To me, Luis Castillo is the best in their rotation. He's coming up when this series shifts to Seattle starting tomorrow. They still have Wu in the mix. There's more and more and more of this coming from a Mariners standpoint. So that's not going away. The other is they are deceptive. They have deceptive power. You would never think that a catcher is going to hit 60 bombs. Okay, Julio Rodriguez, who was their megastar just a couple of years ago, is now just part of this line. A line that has Polanco, who just can do no wrong in October, did it again last night with a 3-run shot that just absolutely opened the game. And then how about Josh Naylor? There's some grit to this team. Here you have a dude who grew up in Mississauga, suburban Toronto, used to come to games at this ballpark with his buddies and with his teammates. He's dealing with either an oblique or a hip, and he's thrown himself down the first baseline to rob George Springer of extra bases that Springer dabbed him up for. And the next at-bat, Naylor goes yard. So this is who the Seattle Mariners are and have been. They're going to give you really good starting pitching. They have a lot of power in their bats, and they have a few different guys on the offensive end who can do it for them. When you have Maz, their designated hitter is hitting in either the 7-hole or the 8 spot in their lineup. That tells you how good their offense can be.
What isn't there like a crazy stat too? I was listening to another program down like Baseball Heavy, like 17,000 pitches or throughout the year, and he hasn't let one. He only let the one pass like in whatever game that was. Like the defensive side of him being a bad catcher, Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
How did they get that trident across the border? By the way.
Yeah, that's actually Barty. That's what I wanted to know. Like, what athletic trunk or case did you have to sneak that in? Where some border guards like, whoa, I'm going to be a hardo. Watch this, Blue Jay fans.
Exactly.
I'm going to seize. Yeah. I'm going to see CBSA on the job. I'm going to seize this at the airport. This is going in the office, boys. This is going in the office.
I wouldn't piss them off, Mass. They're pretty good when they're not angry. They're pretty good when they're exhausted. This is the amazing part of all this. Don't forget, guys. Game 1 Sunday, Game 2 Monday, Friday night. They go 15 innings against the Tigers. They use a bunch of their starters in relief, et cetera, and you're saying to yourself on the surface, shoot, the Blue Jays have them right where they want them. And then the Toronto Bats come up and they can't get a ball out of the infield, and you're saying to yourself, oh boy.
So with that, and here is me being, I kind of said I was thinking in the back of this dome, and I'm like, is this one of those things where it makes for a good story? How they played 15 innings and then their flight got delayed and then they just came in and they win. It's the story is there. Is this going to happen? And then sure enough, I'm looking at my Sports Select ticket and going, what the hell were you thinking?
Well, here's the other thing. Who are the Toronto Blue Jays? What is the AL East in 2025? Just hear me out on this. With 10 days to go in the regular season, for a week, the Blue Jays couldn't win a game. And John Schneider said the sky isn't falling. They couldn't get anything going. Then they get through the final series of the season to sneak a division title. The Yankees showed us they don't have much. And really, they now come into the postseason with 2.5 starting pitchers. They have Kevin Gausman, unquestioned ace. They have this unicorn who's fallen from the sky, Trey Savage, who obviously Seattle is now caught up on. Mm-hmm. And Shane Bieber, their trade deadline acquisition, the former Cy Young Award winner, okay, he didn't get out of the third inning against the Yankees. So maybe those 3 wins against New York were more the aberration. I don't know. It's baseball.
Well, and tomorrow night, Shane Bieber's getting the start for the Jays, which has me worried because if they get to him early, if he makes it through 3,
Chris Bassett's as you said, Arash, it's got to be Chris Bassett giving you length after Bieber if it's a 3-4 inning situation. Look, this is the most taxed bullpen left of any postseason team.
Yes.
Okay. They've asked so much of their relievers throughout the season. I'm not sure how much gas is left there.
Okay. We had about a minute left. And I can't believe that I could just talk baseball. We can continue going on this. You got to know this. You got to give me a Rob Vanstone here. You got to know, like, how many times has a team come back in the ALCS from being down 2 games? Do you have that in your noodle?
In a best of 7, when a team has lost the first 2 at home, they are 3 for 25 all time.
Same as a chance.
The last team to do it was the Yankees of 1996.
Yes.
And I'm just picturing Rick Pitino saying, Derek Jeter isn't walking through that door. So I don't know. But
if you would have said 0, Mariners, I wouldn't have felt that good. You said 3. Still not
3. If you're a Blue Jay fan, you're worried about Mariners pitching. If you're a Blue Jay fan, you're relieved there's an off day today. And you just hope they can regroup. Vlad can't be this bad moving forward. The offense can't be this bad moving forward.
Yeah, that whole Yankee lose. Don't look too good now because Blue Jay lose. 2 at home. Not good. Not a good look. Hey, let's catch up on what day? Thursday this week? I don't know. It's Tuesday. You ever had a cabbage roll, by the way?
I have.
Yeah?
I have.
Yeah.
Whoa!
I'm much more a Western pizza. I'm a Western pizza guy. I'm not a cabbage roll guy. You know.
Most are. Okay, talk to you Thursday, buddy. See ya.
See you guys.